Hi, I'm Martin Gibbons. I'm the founder of People Maps, and I'd like to take the next few minutes to explain about the People Maps opportunity, and hopefully you'll find and see your place as a People Maps agent. Now, it was over 20 years ago when I actually read my very first personality report, and I have to say it changed my life. It was definitely one of those light bulb, when something actually clicks moments, definitely a crossroads moment, if you like. And it eventually led to me, several years later, actually founding and starting People Maps. And that was way back in 2001. Now, since then, People Maps really has been pioneering online personality profiling systems. When we first started out, the whole world was saying that you can't do this online. And we said, well, yes, we can. Internet was my background. I originally started off as a physicist and then developed a huge interest in psychology. And to date, I'm happy to say that 1.4 million people have actually enjoyed a People Maps assessment, and there are thousands of companies worldwide who actually have accounts with us. And we've developed all sorts of products, we've tried all sorts of different things, and it's a very small but very creative company. Now, if you've been in sales for any length of time, then you probably already have a deep interest in psychology, because at the end of the day, sales is actually all about people. And I would say that sales really is the front line in applied psychology. And I think this is one of the things about People Maps. It's very much about the application. It's very much about accessibility. My personal view was, after reading my own report all those years ago, my immediate reaction was, everybody should have one of these. Everybody should be able to understand more about their personality. And I wanted to move personality profiling from the elite, which is largely where it resides, to being accessible for everyone. And this was the change that People Maps has been working on for the last 12, 13 years. Now, as we move towards a service economy, and you will see this more and more in your life, people are becoming much more important. Companies are starting to understand that, hey, maybe the people that we employ and that work with us are actually contributing to the overall service. They're finally getting that message. So psychology, of course, is starting to matter more and more. And this interest in psychology is actually, it's not the only growth. This growth in the interest in psychology isn't the only growth that you'll experience as a People Maps agent. There's another growth curve which is equally exciting. And this is the growth in SaaS. SaaS, which is software as a service. And it's a huge growth area. And in fact, according to Gartner, the SaaS market will be worth 21 billion by 2015, with 50% of the world's applications being held in the cloud. This is a huge change in behaviour and in how things are done at the architectural level, if you like. And People Maps actually has pioneered this. We pioneered online profiling, and we really are in the cloud. We are actually a SaaS operator. So People Maps is a SaaS system, and I'm not sure this is the same could be said for any of our direct competitors. Now, why do customers love SaaS? Well, very quickly, in case you're not familiar with SaaS, you might be, but very quickly let me explain. The first thing, of course, is there's no software, nothing to install, nothing to update, nothing to manage. So it's really easy. All of a sudden, there's a whole department you don't need in-house. Generally, it's much cheaper than traditional alternatives. So if you look at any of the SaaS places, so SaaS providers, and if you look at the traditional provider of that same software, same service, it tends to be a huge savings, so it's a lot cheaper, and that's certainly the case with People Maps. And no specialist training is generally required to use it. SaaS generally are developed so that they're quick and easy to use. I suppose one of the great examples that you may be familiar with would be Salesforce.com, which is one of the big pioneers of SaaS. And of course, the other thing is that there's no data to manage. Sure, you should be doing the things like backing up your data, but largely speaking, the management of the data is the responsibility of the SaaS provider. So why buy People Maps personality profiler? Well, if you're at sales, then this is the questions you really want to know. You need to know, what's going on in the market, and is this something that you could take forward into your world. Very simply, these are the main applications. It's usually to do with recruitment, staff management. Recruitment is probably one of the most common and popular, certainly the easiest to understand. Our reports are really easy. You print them off, they ask questions, you can walk into an interview with one of our reports and it will literally take you with a hand all the way through the interview. So it's really a powerful tool that way. Staff management, how to motivate people, how to delegate, how to effectively be a much better manager because you understand how your people actually are wired. So staff management, of course, staff development, coaching, training. It's hard to imagine any kind of personal development without understanding the people that you're actually working with. And that's fundamentally what we're here to do. So who buys people maps? Well, that pretty much is a very, very broad church, because wherever there's people, then of course you have this need. You have this need to understand the people. So pretty much every company is a prospect, but that's actually not helpful. That's more challenging than not. So the challenge here really is to prioritise. And I would suggest that you would prioritise on the following. You'd be looking for regular or large recruiters. Now you might be looking at recruitment agencies, and sure, we do have clients that are recruitment agencies, but their agendas and their budgets tend to work a little differently. So although they are potentially good customers, they are not the shortcut that you might imagine. So I wouldn't try and kid you on that way. The people that really value the service are the people who have to live with the results, and therefore you're looking at managers, you're looking at HR departments, you're looking at the people who are hiring all the time and also have to live with the consequences. So that's a big part of it, and often the recruitment is a nice easy way in the door because customers understand that. It's not a big new idea for them. And of course, coaching organisations. And you're looking for people who can use it on an ongoing and regular basis. That's mainly from a commercial decision rather than any practical reasons. Roughly speaking, what are you selling? Now, People Maps is pretty big. We've got a range of things, and I don't want to overly complicate things, but primarily I would see you focusing on what we would call the enterprise license. So this is where you essentially create a customized solution for a specific client. Now, if you're talking to the right people, then it's worth spending a little bit of time on this, because at the end of the day, you're going to give them an offer that simply is a mafia offer. It's not one that they can refuse. And compared to with the rest of the competitors, you'll simply have no competitors. So the enterprise license is where you really shine. And roughly speaking, you look at what they need, and we then provide that. We package it all up in terms of features and reports, and all the reports that they would need are included in the price. So it really is a license. It's a whole different way of looking at it. Traditionally, people would pay per report. The enterprise license, they stop paying per report and they actually pay for the overall packaged service to include all the reports that they would need. So what's special about People Maps? Well, if you're going to be selling it, you really want to know that what's our edge? What do we do that's a little different from everybody else that helps you when you're trying to win over potential competitors? Price, I will not kid about. Price is one of your big ones, and I know in sales we should always be talking about value and all these other things, and absolutely that's important, but I think we're amongst friends here. So I have to sell it, you have to sell it, so we can say it like it is, and I just want to say it like it is. Price, particularly if you're talking enterprise license. So your competitors will be going in there and charging way more than you need to make yourself and People Maps a very healthy profit. The other interesting thing about price is that when you're doing these customized solutions, you have an awful lot of influence over what that price should be. So it really is up to you to talk to the customers, come back to me, and eventually my role ultimately in this would be, once you're trained and a little experience, would just be to sanction the price. So you would literally be dictating, negotiating, and then saying to me, this is the price I think we should be charging. I think we can get this for that level of service. And hopefully, most of the time, I'm just going to go, that's fantastic, good job. Okay, so price is a really important lever, and I'm giving you a huge lever here so that you can win customers. The other thing we do is fully customized reports. We provide a library of over 100 topics, and you assemble reports by picking the topics that you want. So you pick 5 topics, design the report that you actually want. I don't believe that any other system offers such a service. The other thing is the speed of the questionnaire. The questionnaire itself, this was an online system developed for online. The questionnaire itself only takes 5 to 7 minutes to complete, which is about 20 to 30 minutes faster than any other personality questionnaire or professional questionnaire out there. And yet, because of its extremely clever design, it's extremely accurate. It does it better in 5 minutes than most can do in half an hour. The reports you'll get to read for yourself, but the accuracy is phenomenal, and most people will tell you that it's spooky in its accuracy. And once you read your own report, I think you'll probably feel the same way. And the other thing I would say, and I'm very proud of this, to say that our online technology is years ahead of everybody else. The whole industry has been running to catch up with us. And in terms of when we were doing it and doing it well online, they were all still old-fashioned IT companies saying, oh, you can't do this online. Well, we have been, we do it all the time, and they're running to catch up. They're trying to drag these old IT and paper-based systems onto the internet. And frankly, our technology is so far ahead of them in all sorts of ways. So how do we sell it? How will you sell it ultimately? Well, this is very much, particularly for the enterprise, you're looking at a consultative selling process. So I'm hoping that that's your bag. I'm hoping that you like to talk to people, talk to prospects about what they're trying to do, what their problems are, and go away and actually come up with a solution. And you'll have plenty of variation to be able to create those solutions quite quickly and easily once you're familiar with things. Very much we're big believers in sample reports and demo reports. In fact, I never let anyone buy anything unless they've actually read the report, their own report, for free. The report itself will do a huge part of the selling for you. Most people, upon reading the report, are blown away. I'm pretty sure you will be too. So we know that this works, and we would encourage you to follow the same pattern. Make sure you get them to read the report, they'll love it. We also treat it on a case-by-case, as we've discussed. The quotes themselves will be bespoke. Now, we do have off-the-shelf solutions, and some with small clients, that's the best way to handle that. But you should be proactively talking to the potentially large customers, large employers, people who can use a lot of reports on a regular basis. That's when you want to spend your time, because when they say yes, it's big money for a long time to come. And the other thing is that this could be sold, easily sold over the phone. Now, you might prefer face-to-face meetings and you might prefer doing business like that. That's for you to decide, I don't mind. However, the whole system was designed to be sold automatically online, and pretty much every sale that's ever happened to date has been sold in that way. Now, I believe that you will sell and convert those sales much more successfully than an online automated sales process. Understandably, absolutely, it's why we want to do this. However, if you can sell automatically online without anybody talking to them, then that should give you some comfort that when you're actually talking to customers and prospects, then your sales conversion should be extremely good. Also, say if you're selling over the phone, it does mean that you can talk to quite a lot of people in one day. You can do demos on the phone, you can talk to people on the phone, you can move people through the sales process on the phone. I rarely ever go to a meeting. But again, it's entirely your choice. I don't want to dictate that type of tactical level. The other thing is that we charge a monthly license fee, particularly when you move on to enterprise license. Sure, they can pay annually, quarterly, whatever they like, but mainly speaking, we're looking at a monthly license fee, which is pretty unusual. The whole industry is still charging per report. And the other wonderful thing for you, of course, is that People Maps HQ, i.e. the system, the technology itself, delivers the entire service. You're not going to, the more customers you get, you're not going to be bogged down in trying to support and deliver it. It really was designed to be self-service, and largely speaking, once you move beyond the initial sales phase and they start using it, they will need little to no support from you. Now, we are more than happy to encourage you to build and maintain that relationship. We believe the relationship is your department, that's your area. But in terms of the nuts and bolts delivery of the service, the technology takes care of most of that, and the People Maps Q&A side of things will support, online support, will deal with the odd question about how does this work and how do you do that, and we're happy to do those kind of things. So each customer will not become a burden to you. In terms of sales support, here's a very critical area, and again, this is something you can compare with my competitors, other players in this area, where if you were selling as their agent or their distributor, and you want to give demos and free trials to people, and everybody wants a free trial and a demo, then normally speaking you would have to buy that stock to do that. Well, at People Maps, I will provide you with all the stock that you need to actually provide demos and free trials to clients. I'm not asking you to do any of that. We will provide and support you. Everything that I have to make sales, you'll have to make sales. Also, we will give you full training. So although I am hoping and would expect that you have a genuine interest in psychology and personality and what goes on here, we wouldn't expect you to have studied or know anything about personality or Jungian personality, to be more specific, and we will give you full training. Now, most of our training, nearly all of our training, is actually delivered online. So you've got lots of online videos, you have your own online training centre, and there's a Q&A facility there. So it's very much delivered in an online way. So you can do it at a time that's convenient to you, from the comfort of your own home, out and about the road, sitting in a cafe. It's entirely up to you. We'll provide all that. You'll not be asked to come and sit in a room for days on end being bored to tears. That's not how we do things. And remember, of course, that all the software, all the back end, everything else is all online. It's really clever, cutting edge software that is just makes life easier for you and for me and for the customers. Let's talk about the commercial terms very quickly now. We're nearly coming to the end. Of just rounding up on some of the key things I'm sure that you're most interested in. The big things here in the commercial terms are this is an accumulative income potential. Again, that's pretty unusual. What do I mean by this? Well, simply speaking, you should be selling a monthly license. So you should be getting customer after customer. And if you just say I did one customer a month or one customer a week, then that should be an accumulative income, because most of those customers will probably pay monthly. So by the end of month 3, you'll have 3 customers paying you. End of month 4, you'll have 4 customers paying you, even if you only make 1 sale a month. Effectively, what does that come out at? Well, you get repeat commission on all orders. And this is a very interesting area, and I think quite a generous model. We don't just pay you for the initial sale or the initial commission or the initial order. We actually pay you on the value of the customer. So if the customer keeps ordering, then you keep getting commission. If the customer increases their license, which can happen, many customers will start with something small and then they'll go, yeah, we like this, let's roll out. You still get all the commission on all orders from that customer. That's the way we like to roll. So this really is a partnership, long-term partnership. We take it very seriously, and I think this is a pretty unusual approach to things. In terms of commission, again, I think this is ridiculously generous, particularly for a Scotsman. But I want this to be a partnership. I'm looking for you to be brilliant at what you do, to allow me to be brilliant at what we do, and together we can deliver something very special. So if it's partnership, then I don't know any other number than 50% is what I'm aiming for. Now, I say up to because that might not always be the case depending on what's going on, but you could convince me and persuade me to go to 50%. I need you to justify it, however. But that's the potential that we should be looking at here. The other thing that is very important and easily missed is that you are actually building a capital asset. So let's say after 2 years you decide that you want to move on to something else, maybe you want to retire, maybe you've generated a really big client bank and want to do something about it, and you would like to make your own personal private exit into something else. Well, you will have essentially built up a capital asset. That client bank is yours and therefore it's worth something. Now what it's worth, who knows, it will depend on what it's turning over, but it definitely is something that can be transferred as a capital asset and therefore can be sold. And within our terms and conditions we are encouraging that, and whether it's People Maps HQ buys it back or whether it's we can find another buyer, another potential partner who wants to take over where you've finished off, then that's all possible. So unlike most agent type roles, you're actually building something that can be sold. And what is income potential? Well, how long is a piece of string? And I think but let me show you some numbers so that you can go and do your own sums and get a feel for it. A report typically retails about £25 to £55 per report, right? That would be 5 topics. A 5-topic report is a very typical size that most people would go for, and you're looking at that kind of price. And that's before any kind of discount is applied. If you were just coming in to buy one report, that's kind of what you're talking about. That's not a mile away from what the industry at large would be charging. A license, however, you would be maybe looking at somewhere around, not unusual to say something maybe around 500 quid a month. But providing you find someone who's big enough who can use it monthly and can use enough of it, then this 500 a month would be a big saving on the £25 per report. Typically, when you move on to a license, you're looking at discount rates. If you were to compare apples to apples, of like 75% discount, you know, so 500 a month would get you, this would be somebody who would maybe use, say, 100 reports. Well, 100 reports would cost them £2,500 a month. Whereas with a license, they can get that for a fifth of the price. And these are the kind of numbers. Now, obviously, if you can get more for it, then you charge what you can get. That's the reality of it. At some point, you might come back to me and I'll say, actually, that is too much discount, that's too cheap, you're going to damage the overall market. You know, so I keep an eye on the overall things, but I am definitely encouraging you to offer huge discounts to win the customer because you get the license, and that reduces the amount of sales time. So you can maybe get 5 customers because you're making it a really easy decision to make, whereas if you were charging 5 grand, sure, you might get one every now and again, but you've really got to work hard in the sales process to make those big decisions. So that's kind of the balance that we take here. Again, an awful lot of that is up to you. An example, let's say you manage to accumulate 10 clients. Let's say you're really good and you get 1 client a week. You know, maybe you know some people, you've got some networks, you know the kind of companies that we need to deal with. You know a bunch of companies that employ more than, say, 300 people. They would all kind of qualify. Anybody that employs more than 300 people tend to recruit someone every month. So let's say that was the case. Then you've got things like call centres where actually they recruit somebody every week, you know, because they've got staff turnover issues and stuff. Let's say you did 1 a week. After 10 weeks, you'd be looking at turning over, 5 grand per month. That's 60 grand a year. And it only happens because you've got this accumulated client scenario. And that's why we really want you to focus on the enterprise license, these accumulated clients. Good for us, certainly good for you on the commission side too. Now, let's say also the beauty of this model is you have to take a month off. Maybe you're ill for some reason, or maybe you just want to take a break and take the family away and go away for a month. Well, normally when you're in sales, when you stop selling, you stop earning. That's how it tends to work. With this type of model, then even if you take a month off, sure, you might not create a new customer or two that month. However, you still are earning from all the previous ones that you have accumulated. And we will stand by that. We will encourage that. We really want you to do very well and build a big business and a big income, but we want you to be able to take time off and still earn money. I say this is much more about partnership, a lot about lifestyle here, it's a lot about doing things in a way that when I was in the sales agent position, this was how I would have liked it. So that's largely why we're trying to do this model. And how many clients can you accumulate? Well, that's probably the big question, absolutely. I really don't know. That is up to you. It's up to how good you target. So, you know, you might go and talk to 10 prospects, but if you've spoke to the wrong people and you're targeting the wrong type of companies, now, in the training I will give you everything I know, I'll share all my experience, and I'll help you make good decisions there so that you know that you're talking to all the right type of companies, so that if someone says yes, then you know it's the right type of client, paying the right kind of money. So how many you can accumulate is really is up to you, and because you're doing what we don't generally do. We, as I say, largely reactive, you'll be proactive. We tend to deal with quite a lot of smaller clients. You'll be talking to larger clients who tend to want that level of conversation and support, and they expect someone like you to actually be selling. So it is a little different. But I do think, you know, even if you go really slowly part-time, you should be certainly recruiting 1 or 2 a month. I think some of you would recruit 1 or 2 a day if you got the right market and you found the right angle for yourself. Very much up to you. How much will the average client spend? Again, that varies tremendously. Right down to, you know, a small client would certainly be around £100 a month. and there's plenty of them, and you might just say, well, actually that's the market I'd like to go for. I understand these particular people and I know that that's their budget and they wouldn't balk at that budget, and that would be an easy decision, and you decide that's where you're going. That's absolutely fine. And then right through to, say, you're looking at call centres. Now a large call centre, really would, 200, 500 a month be that much to a call centre who's recruiting dozens of people every month? Not really. If they genuinely see that this can help them make better hiring decisions, I know it can. You'll soon know it can, and why. Can you convince somebody that's the case? Well, that'll be up to you at the end of the day. Many people are already at that stage, and it's really just, I want profile and I want yours or yours. If you ever get into that situation, you should never lose out, because I know that you can always beat the competition on price. And I do believe that you have a better product to offer. So what is the ideal agent for me? I'm hoping by now you've probably got a feel for that. These are the kind of things I'm really looking for. I would like and appreciate that you are autonomous. I see this very much as a partnership. I'm not looking for employees. If I was looking for employees who want to manage and micromanage and do all that sort of stuff, I would have hired people to do that. I would have went down that business route. That's not what I'm about personally. It's not really what People Maps is about. We see a much bigger picture here. And really we want to work with people who are enthusiastic about the product, who are doing it because you're building your own future, not just our future. And you value your own autonomy. You think for yourself, you like to make your own decisions. You like to drive your own bus, if you like. That's what I appreciate in the world, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm also looking for someone who really is into solution design. So let's never forget that sales requires somebody to ask for an order and talk to prospects. So I don't need to tell you any more about that. I'm telling you to suck eggs there. But the type of selling that we're looking at here really is someone who can approach a prospect, look at what they're trying to do, understand what People Map system is capable of doing, and then create and design and propose a solution. We really are looking at proper solution selling here. So I'm hoping that you would also be interested in the product and the nuts and bolts and how we pull that together and what we offer. Because ultimately I want you to write up, I'll give you templates and plenty of guidance and training of course, but ultimately I want you to come back with the final solution and say, this is what I want to provide to my client here, and that's the budget I would like to do it. Can we do this deal? That's the conversations that I'm hoping you and I will have every day. And of course, I already expect that you have some interest in psychology, in what makes people tick, that you find people genuinely quite interesting and you're curious, because we get to talk a lot about psychology, and if you are, generally you find that the world out there, the people that you'll talk to will also find this psychology extremely interesting. So again, if you have that interest, you'll find it really easy to talk to other people, customers, about the psychology, who are also usually very interested. Okay, so one practicality I want to mention here is that in terms of the People Maps model, normally speaking, we charge fees to agents. I'm not looking for huge numbers of agents. I don't want agents competing with each other. I generally won't allow that for pretty obvious reasons. That would just be a bit crazy, to be honest. It's not a geographical agency either, so although some agents will be based overseas outside of the UK and they're appointed for that specific reason, some of you will be in the UK. But again, People Maps, because we're an online internet business, I'm not really looking at this in terms of harsh geographic, this is your territory. It doesn't really work that way. I will do my best at this end to make sure that you really never meet another People Maps agent, in terms of you'll not bump into them. We deal with all those kind of things at the back end. But more importantly, because I've been talking to CommissionCrowd since for months and months actually, because I really liked what they were doing. I felt they were actually trying to do something a little differently and doing something that was very important, that fitted with my own ethos and my own business model. So because of that, and as I say, a couple of chats I've had with Ryan and stuff, I'm really keen to actually just waive the fees for CommissionCrowd applicants. So if you go to the general areas of the People Maps site, where you'll see talking about the People Maps Partner Programme, then you'll see actually I charge people. And the reason for that is we provide them with stock, we provide them with training, people take up a lot of time, and I don't want to invest all that in someone who's just going to waste my time. And I generally find, of course, when people are paying a fee every month, they don't do that. However, my feeling is that with you as someone who's registered as a CommissionCrowd agent, you will do this legitimately, you'll do it right, and you won't waste my time. So because I believe that, I'm willing for now to waive the agency fees. So you will not have to pay those fees for the foreseeable future. So I thought that was worth mentioning to you. And I'll finish on this really just to say that places are limited. I'm not looking for a free-for-all. I really am looking for small numbers of agents to work with very closely. I want you to build a really big business. And to do that, I need to support you properly. And to support you properly, and personally, I can only deal with a small number of people. So generally speaking, there will only be 1 or 2 agents in each English-speaking country from now. We'll certainly be expanding, but we will do so at a pace that we feel we can cope with. So if you're really interested, I think what I'm saying is don't hang about. Make it known that you really are interested and you're prepared to give it a go, and you're ready to start on the training. We'll provide you with the training. Training's online, and we'll be able to start that very soon for you. You don't need months and months of training to be able to go and deliver this product. Remember, this product was developed to be sold, in a completely self-service manner. And that is pretty much how it has worked with all my existing clients. So it's not hugely complex. However, I would like you to be an advanced user and understander of all that's going on, and therefore there is some training which is delivered online. Really, you're looking at half an hour to an hour every day for a week or 2, and you will be up to speed. And I just need to get it to a place where you feel completely comfortable to go and talk to people. And I know how important that is when you are actually selling. You need to feel confident so that you won't be asked things that will completely flunk you and interrupt your flow. So I'm pretty sure I can get you to that place very quickly. It's not a huge learning curve. It's pretty manageable, pretty short, because of the way we do things. Okay, that's really all I have to say today. If you are interested, please make your interest known very quickly. I'm Martin Gibbons, I'm the founder of PeopleMaps, and on behalf of all the PeopleMaps team here, thanks very much for taking the time.